Yesterday in the Irish Catholic newspaper, the front headline caught my eye, and it was "Deeply selfish for Church in Ireland to rely on priests from missionary territories." And this is by a piece, an interview with Professor Tom Whelan, inviting priests from the church in developing parts of the world to maintain the status quo in Irish parishes and to cope with a vocations crisis is selfish, a liturgical expert has warned. Spiriton Professor Tom Whelan has warned that pastoral plans that have no greater vision than replacing Sunday Mass with ceremonies with the distribution of Holy Communion risk clericalising lay people. Father Whelan believes the Church in Ireland must nourish a more lay-centred vision for the parish church. Well, I would say God-centred. Always God-centred, not lay-centred. With priests and laity working co-responsibly to create proper local church or ecclesial community. As dioceses seek to tackle the decline in number of priests, the Irish missionary who has taught a liturgy for many years warned against relying on priests from mission territories where local Catholics need them 10 times more than we do. I saw that yesterday and I've read through the whole article and what he's trying to say. The Irish church is going to be shaken up big time over the next 20 years. We all know this because what we have done in the church over the last 40 years, we know the consequences because we've seen what had happened in other countries. In the Netherlands, in Belgium, they're selling off churches every year. In the Netherlands, they have demolished hundreds of churches, especially the churches that they built just prior to Vatican II. Hundreds of churches in the Netherlands have been demolished as the downsizing of the Catholic Church happens. And we've seen in Germany the utter collapse of Catholicism that is happening, with hundreds of thousands, nearly 500,000 German Catholics renouncing their German Catholic affiliation every year. And all of the dioceses in Germany, which is a far bigger country than us, 20 million Catholics, all the dioceses in Germany have a vocational crisis worse than Ireland. Go figure. Go figure. Anyway, this is the where we're heading to. But I just wanted to kind of touch base on this. And I do want to thank Irish bishops for inviting priests from missionary territories. Now, how you define that, I don't know. Is somebody that comes from Romania, is that missionary territory? Or is it because they put two photos of two coloured priests on their social media and on the newspaper? Is that who we class as a missionary priest? Somebody who is a skin tone that's not our own? I ask the question because that's the impression in their tweet and in the newspaper. They have two photos. We don't want to cause the impression that a priest that has different skin tone doesn't mean that they're not Irish or they're not the new Irish, because there are thousands of Indian Syro-Malabar Catholics in Ireland who have priests ministering to them as well. And if we ran a headline like this saying doctors from missionary countries, look, you're needed more at home. We need to tackle the crisis in healthcare in Ireland with local Irish doctors. I think if that headline run in any Irish newspaper, we'd be accused of xenophobia, racism, and it would be, the right-wing element of Irish society that doesn't want foreign doctors working in Ireland. I'm just saying, like, if we had this type of publication, and yet for the Irish Catholic newspaper, it's interesting how they've framed this. Now, to be fair on Professor Tom Whelan, he is making some valid points. But I just wanted to kind of touch on one thing that's really important. And I do want to thank Irish bishops for this. Last year on Lough Derg, there was a priest from Uganda ministering to us, Father Caesar Mugabe. And we got talking, got to know him, got to know his work that he was doing, his studies. He was studying canon law in Spain. And one of the things that he mentioned was that the village where he grew up, a poor village, had no running water, had no well. You know, people would have to walk for kilometres to go and get water. And there is lots of water in Uganda, and it's just a matter of drilling a well. I grew up in a farm. We had our own well, so I know a little bit about this. So I said, look, we'll get you a well. And we did get him a well. And thanks to Wells of Life, you know, they do have a well now. I'll just show you the pictures here. That's the well. You know, that's the well. Thank you, Robert Nugent. You have transformed the lives of 1,000 people. Well, I didn't transform the lives of 1,000 people. If an Irish bishop hadn't invited and given approval to Father Francis to come to Ireland, I wouldn't have known him. You know, so it's not like Robert Nugent did this. It's really the grace of God, and it's really here's the plaque dedicated to the pilgrims of Lough Derg and the priests who minister to them. So if it wasn't for an Irish bishop who gave Father Francis permission to come to Ireland so that we could meet him, know him, understand his ministry, and anybody that subscribed to my channel that has the paid membership, it's not that much, but those funds go to Father Francis every month. And also a big thank you to Church in Need, helping us with that. You know, so if we didn't have these connections, you know, friendship of priests from missionary territories. I don't know why we would call them missionary territories. It wasn't like he was converted yesterday. There's many Catholics in these countries are 5th, 6th, 7th generation Catholics, especially in India. You know, they're older. Some of these priests in India that come to us come from a church that is older than our church here in Ireland. Go figure. You know, go back to the time of St. Thomas. But anyway, if we didn't build these connections of friendship, because the word Catholic means universal, you know, we have a shared baptism. If we didn't build these connections, we wouldn't have these, you know, being able to work together. You know, we'll start with a well, we'll do a church, and we'll do a school in this village over time. This is what we would like to do. And, you know, it was great to know people, because when you meet somebody face to face and you start having conversations, and, you know, Father Francis will ring me up and you understand, he'll send me photos of the work they're doing. You understand the reality of what they're doing on the ground. Like many priests in these countries don't get a wage. So when they come to Ireland, it builds friendship. It forms us in the universal church. It forms us in the necessities of the universal church. And, you know, we can then go and help people we know. We have contacts we know in these different countries. You know, if I was going to Uganda someday, hopefully to go, I'll know Father Francis. We'll be able to do a small project together. Can't save the world, can't change the world, but we can change what's around us. So I applaud Irish bishops. Most of them, thankfully, are good men that see the necessities here in the church. And to the same token, to say that, you know, there are still hundreds of Irish priests ministering abroad. There are still hundreds of Irish priests still ministering abroad. You know, should we tell those priests abroad, look, you're needed more in Ireland, come home? Because for as many foreign priests in Ireland, there are the same number of those Irish-born priests still ministering abroad in Latin America, in Mexico, in America, in Africa, Asia, and in Europe, in Rome, studies and so forth. So, do you know what? We should be careful when we put up on our social media posts like this, because how do those who have come to minister to us feel when they see something written about this? You know, that, you're needed more at home, Mr. African priest or Mr. Indian priest. You're needed more at home. We will be, you know, I think we should have a bit more sensitivity. It has been a very, very positive influence on the Irish Church to meet foreign priests. I've met many of them. They have ministered to us, they have prayed with us, they have shared their life with us, their struggles with us, their ups and downs with us. You know, there was one particular foreign priest that came to Ireland, and not a single priest in the diocese asked where he was going to spend Christmas, what he was going to do for Christmas. You know, that's a new story. I could talk about stuff that I've seen, how foreign priests have been treated, and we'd have, and I don't want to create scandal or to cause problems in the church in Ireland, but like, there are foreign priests here who have been actively sidelined, ignored. Nobody reached out. Well, where are you spending Christmas? And a specific foreign priest who was going to be alone for Christmas in Ireland. I think many people think, oh, he should have been going home, whatever. But look, the struggles that some foreigner, and I know many of them, that have come to minister here, many Polish priests that have come to minister in Ireland, it hasn't been easy for them. It hasn't been easy for them. And where is the welcome for in Ireland? And I think most Irish do welcome them. And to be fair, Irish bishops, they have been exceptional. I know. With Father Francis, he got an invite back to Ireland to minister this year. Sadly, due to visa problems, he couldn't come. So the Irish Church has been very generous, very helpful, especially bishops, and I couldn't fault their dedication in helping priests. But look, as an Irish Church, it's a positive that we're exposed to priests from different countries, to Catholics from different countries. Our shared baptism, brings us into the universal church. And, we can't go down this road now of creating a special, solutions for Ireland that run away from the practices of the universal church. The holy sacrifice, the Mass, for the foreseeable future will be led by a priest. A priest who will have gone through 7 years of formation. It is what it is. We will still have priests who have given their life to this mission, to minister to us, to teach us, to guide us, to help us. Some of the solutions that we could be doing to this supposed vocational crisis, well, next time the headline, let's ask for the hundreds of Irish priests abroad saying, you should come home, you're needed more at home. That's the first headline. Second headline, let's start teaching the faith. Let's start teaching the faith to the next generation. Most kids, most young people don't know how to pray and don't know what the faith is. They think a prayer is, an Our Father and a Hail Mary. They don't know the depths of prayer because we haven't taught them. Let's get adoration into every school, for example. 1 hour, once a month, every class, every Catholic school. Can be done. There's a brilliant apostle, Children of the Eucharist in Meath, Antoinette Moynihan, brilliant apostolate. Let's get that into schools. Let's start exposing people our children to the sacred. Let's start forming men's prayer groups. We cry that there's no vocations. Well, a vocation will come from prayer. That is the only place a man will encounter his vocation, is in prayer. And if we do not foster prayer, you will not foster vocations. You need to pray for vocations, and you need to pray with vocations. If you're not doing that, you won't have vocations. If we look at the locations where vocations are come from, you have a strong sacramental and prayer life. Why do the booming traditional movement has a booming focus on prayer, on reverence, and silence, encounter with God, and formation, catechesis. I know a lot of people, they find the SSPX very controversial, but they do have a strong catechetical program. The Syro-Malabar Church in Ireland has a strong catechetical program. They teach the next generation the faith. You often go and you see them very, very holy, pious, good Catholics. They're always in knock. This is something that we need to foster. I would be slow to call out saying it's deeply selfish for the church to rely on priests from missionary territories. Many of these priests are only coming for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. It's a short-term assignment. They're not here for the rest of their life. They're here for a short period of time. That helps them, that helps us, that builds connections. And we need to foster this. Every diocese should have 2 to 3 priests from missionary territories to help them in their formation and to help us in our formation, to build contacts. Because you will meet these, you will become friends with them when they go back to Uganda or when they go back to different countries. You will have contact with them. You'll send them an email. You'll ring them up. How are you? How's things over there? And they'll tell you, look, we've been flooded in our village. We've had Ebola coming through. The conversations that Father Francis and myself have been having, he was telling me, I was asking him how things in Uganda. Well, there's this threat from Ebola at one stage. There are floods, there's political unrest, there's this, there's that. I mean, and then you build up a relationship and you understand, but you know what? This priest needs help. He needs prayers, he needs support, and you can build up relationships and help with them. And it builds the bonds of the universal church. We share the same baptism. We will all be in heaven. Our Lord looks at a developing country, a missionary country, with the same love as he looks at Ireland. And that's where the church, the beautiful Catholic Church, our beautiful church, can do so much to form each other, to build a relationship with each other, to understand each other. It's the same faith. And I just think, it's a bit selfish. I think it's a bit selfish to actually publish that headline in the Irish Catholic. We should think of the good that is happening in Ireland with the foreign priests. And I think putting 2 media posts of priests with colour in those publications, I wonder how they feel when they read these headlines. You're needed more at home. Selfish. We're being selfish. You're needed more at home. What's the message we're saying? Well, I don't know. Just my take on it. Maybe I could be wrong, but at the end of the day, I just want to thank Irish bishops who do see the need, who have invited priests over, and they don't stay forever. They're here on short-term assignments. It has overwhelmingly enhanced, developed, and been a benefit to Ireland. Overwhelmingly, so many people I know, they've built up friendships, they've got formation, they've helped us, teach us how to pray. They, if I ever have a canon law question, I have a friend who's a canon lawyer. They'll tell you what the church teaches. Overwhelmingly positive impact in the Irish church, and that's kind of the message that we should be giving. And if we're going to use that logic that they're needed more at home, then we need to tell the hundreds of Irish priests who are abroad, and there are still hundreds of Irish priests abroad, you should be back in Ireland. You're not needed over. Many of them are missionary priests in Latin America, and there's many priests in America and Latin America and Africa and Asia. They're still there. We should be saying to them, look, you're needed more at home here, if this is the logic that we're using now. So I do think, there's this call for change. But what laity can be doing, we can support more our parishes, the finances, the administration, catechesis, prayer, prayer groups, forming people in prayer. There's so much more we can do. But I do think, and I still think, we do need cross-pollination. We do need cross-pollination in the Irish church from missionary territories. It helps those priests. It helps their future priesthood. It builds bonds. It supports them. And, thank God Irish bishops see this. Thank God for them. Anyway, God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.